Oh hey, I'm live. Excellent. Alright, let's try this again, everybody. Alright, so I'm gonna count down. 3, 2, 1, go. You're right, Teddy, you get to see Iconoclasts twice. So I'll spare some of the early commentary, since I covered that earlier. Reminder, gun boost. I can fire my gun charge shot to boost my speed, if I move properly. I'm gonna pick this up to craft an item later on. It should be low enough. Yeah, it works. Alright. So I'm moving right along. I'm gonna try and save one of these enemies and perform a kill jump with it, which again just means that I'm killing an enemy, which resets my jump state, or my ability to jump rather. I don't know why. I play the role of Robin the Mechanic, in a world where being a mechanic is considered evil. Unless you're properly ordained, anyway. So there's a bunch of earthquakes happening. You decide to go check on your brother in the next town over. So after each ground pound, you'll see me swing my wrench, and that's to cancel the animation from the end of the ground pound. Alright, didn't get the boost, unfortunately. That door does not stay open, unfortunately. Most enemies you will bounce off of if you jump on them. A lot of enemies you have to either shoot or ground pound to actually kill or deal damage to. And you may occasionally see like a green flash around some enemies with like a wrench symbol. That means I can reflect that attack with a wrench. There. Nice kill jump to save some time. Allows me to save a charge shot there. Okay, didn't get a first try this time. There we go, second try works. Doing that jump and wall jump there skips having to do this little puzzle here. Do-do-do. I have to go up here in order to get the next cutscene to trigger. So this game does feature text mashing, so I have to mash X to advance text as well as proceed to the next line of dialogue. So really get the whole, gamut of speed tech in this game, from button mashing to precise jumps. Anyway, guess I can talk a bit about this category. It's called any percent no out of bounds via Airswim. Should really just be renamed to no Airswim. But the point is, at some point within the next area of the run, a true any percent run would use an Airswim technique to go out of bounds and do a whole bunch of crazy stuff. And it's really interesting from a routing perspective, but it's only about 40 minutes long, and it's not really like what I want to do with this game. I do think it's a cool category, but this category is more of a full playthrough with some glitches and skips thrown in. Anyway, I can move 6 times each choke. So coming up is a glitch where to my left back there is an invisible wall which pushes me away because there's soldiers to the left here. So if I hold the weapon swap button, walk into this thing, and then hit the wrench button at the right time, like now, if I hit wrench, I won't actually swing my wrench, and I can't fire my gun. So we're going to skip the first boss now, thanks to that bug I performed. Then a cutscene there plays where you are picked up by these sailors. The captain says, "I don't know who they are, throw them in the water." We're on our way. This is a schematic for tweaks. One of the scientists I talked to earlier, chemist rather, he gave me the ability to craft power-ups called tweaks, and that schematic just unlocked different tweaks for me to make. More on those later when I actually craft them. If you jump into a crawl space, it allows you to crawl through the crawl space super quick. So I try to go for that where I can, but it's a little imprecise in some spots. Anyway. Oops, did not mean to go through there. So I can jump here, even though there's no platform, because this game features a coyote mechanic, meaning like in old Looney Tunes cartoons, a character would stand on thin air before then jumping out of the way to safety or falling. And so in this game, before you completely walk off of the ledge, you have a moment where you can jump. Now we're going to go into this secret area to get another very important item for crafting, called ivory oil. All the machines in this world, like most of the bosses, and some of the inhabitants actually, are powered by oil, or the ivory, and it's a very scarce resource now because the main religion that rules the world, the One Concern, has used up most of the ivory to create superhumans, or just wasted it on useless machinery. Speaking of useless machinery, we're going to go over here to mess with some of the One Concern. This is Kirk. We're going to bonk him. See you later, Kirk. And then these soldiers are like, "We need help moving our bombs." And you show up and they're like, "You're a mechanic. Will you help us?" And you're like, "Well, I guess so." So you help them move chemicals. The chemicals of X, triangle, and circle. So it's the same order every time. Don't mix triangle and circle, that is the only rule. X, circle, X. You actually do kind of want to time this a certain way in order for the platform to fall at the opportune time. And on this one I have to be careful I don't do it too early, otherwise the platform can drop with the triangle and then place it directly on the circle. So circle, triangle, triangle, circle, X. So for your trouble, you are given the roller bomb shot. More on that in a bit. Now I can proceed through more of this area. Thanks. Now that I have the bomb. Oh, good. Excuse me. Anyway. Did not mean to be charging that just now. So the bomb will roll along to the terrain and does gain some momentum from going down slopes. Now you're introduced to enemies like these cactus things that you can shoot the bomb inside of to kill instead of ground pounding. Well, I have no idea how that happened. Now we're introduced to Royal and this new boss. So Royal actually has the ability to control the planet itself. I messed up. Unfortunately, where Royal targets is random, and I have messed up this fight royally. No pun intended. It's okay, it just means we get to hear more cool music. For some reason, my first missile didn't hit him, I guess. Weird. Anyhow, now that we have Royal, we can leave the desert, because there's a door that only he can open. Then we can proceed with the story. I'll try to cover some of the story, but if you are interested in the story, I highly recommend playing this game yourself so you can get the full picture at your own pace. But essentially, Royal has been given powers by being placed in a machine which bathes him in ivory for several months. And as far as the one concern is concerned, he is a chosen one, fit to communicate with God. So in all this cutscene, we're introduced to more members of the One Concerned. This is Tolo, just a common soldier, but he's accompanied by an agent of the One Concerned, another one who has been blessed by the Ivory, General Chrome up there in the helicopter with the cowboy hat. And so all the agents are basically superhuman, they have a healing factor, and they all have some random superpower. We'll see more about them later on. But the gist of it is that the One Concerned worships a being known as the Star Worm, and for some reason Ivory is considered very sacred. And like I said, the agents, you may notice later on the General Chrome has robotic legs. Those who have Ivory blood, like the agents, can interface with machines. So if you do enough damage, the helicopter will generally not go into this phase. Now I have to mash some text, so excuse me. But we're introduced to Robin's father, who was a mechanic for the One Concern. And is the reason Robin's a mechanic. He was killed by the One Concern because he was trying to do stuff to help the people. The One Concern are very controlling when it comes to machines, so they won't let the people like tinker with machines or have knowledge of them. And they also won't let anybody look into alternative power sources, like solar or wind power. Anyway. Now we are reunited with Mina, whom we met earlier in jail. And so Mina is not a pirate, she's a member of the ISI, and this is the Isaluger Laboratories. Or resort, rather. Below is the laboratory. So Mina's people are actually not from this planet. They came in many different vessels, but that was hundreds of years ago and most of the vessels were scattered. And this place is actually just one big machine that can crawl along the ocean floor, and is hidden from the One Concern. So Mina's people are hunted by the One Concern, actually, for whatever reason. Oh, it's because of they have a conflicting religion, and they don't see machines quite the same way that the One Concern does. Anyway. Oops. You may notice above or below my health bar there, I have like 3 nodes. Those are my tweak slots. Did not mean to do that. And if I had tweaks, they would appear there. So when I take damage, just experience points on the slot on the right, and then it proceeds to the slot on the left. And when I lose all the experience on a slot, I can't use that tweak. And that won't really come into play right now, since obviously I don't have any. And I'm only making 2 tweaks anyway, which will be on the left and the middle slot. But it is still something that will be important in certain spots of the run. Didn't have to kill that thing, but it's generally easier to do this room if you do kill it. So this area, most of this game is incredibly linear. This is heavily inspired by Metroid Fusion. as far as some aspects go. Cognac had many inspirations when it came to this game. Just need to go down here. So my next goal here is that I have to go around and find 3 different scientists, which will give me 3 different keys, which will let me proceed to the main control center of this area. Oops. That was not supposed to happen. So I got 1 Trina key. It's very easy to cancel wrenching just by moving. Ouch. Gonna go into a somewhat secret area here to get a special schematic for a very special tweak. More on that in just a moment. So here, by holding the gunfire button and then hitting weapon swap, I'm able to use the save statue to create tweaks, which you normally can't do. And I'm going to create a tweak called Dodger. And Dodger is important because it not only gives me invincibility frames and allows me to roll through enemies and other obstacles, but in other areas of the game it'll be very important for dodge roll jumping. And dodge roll jumping is important because it allows me to get into gaps that you normally have to crawl through by jumping with the crouching hitbox. Oops, okay. Come on, Robin. Unfortunately, like, you can never meet this local cycle in just the right way. But it's still faster to wait and get the speed for traveling through that long room afterward. Because I could technically just dodge roll through that hazard. Anyway. So this arena, I have to fight 3 of these little guys. Okay, it got into the robot, unfortunately. So it picks one of these robots at random to enter, and then I just have to wait for this attack to come out, and then I can kill them. Nuts. Nice, I killed that one, which was on its way to one of those robots. So ideally I would have already been at this side of the room, but that was still a pretty fast fight. Oops. Oops. There's just barely enough space for you to not be able to fire a missile right here to quickly solve that puzzle, unfortunately. So now we come to Inti, the next boss, and it's actually the control center of this giant machine. So we turn it on, it gets possessed by one of the one concerned robots, then we have to fight it as both Robin and Mina. So the boss can either do like finger lightning or a ground pound. If you want the ground pound attack because it's easier to dodge, you can crank this thing with Robin while you wait. Oops. Alright. So something I really like about this game is that every boss fight is kind of unique in that they always have different mechanics, either in how you fight the boss or like this fight has the very unique tag mechanic. There is only one other fight I can think of that has a tag mechanic. Anyway, now we have to fight Agent White, so he, like I said earlier, has been blessed by the ivory. So depending on what type of sunglasses he wears, he can shoot lasers out of his eyes. Well, he can always shoot lasers, and depending on the type of glasses he wears, it changes the effect. And I don't really care about my health as long as I don't die, because when I actually fight him, I get all my health back. This game is pretty good about giving you your health at like the start of every boss fight, almost. Lost some time there because it wasn't at the edge of the screen. Anyway. So his gun doesn't actually do anything. Now I have to shoot Agent White until he has to recover, and then Mina's gonna punch him in the face. So when Mina punches him, she's actually putting a seed inside Agent White's mouth, I think. And the seeds that Mina's people grow, they can interface with machines in strange ways, meaning they make the machines explode. And as for Agent White, he's about to turn into a tree. And this is the first time that anyone has ever killed an agent in this world, so Mina and Robin have done the unthinkable and committed a horrible crime toward this religion, the one concerned. So here I'm going to try and chain this slope boost throughout a couple of rooms. There we go. Oops. Don't actually need the gun boost to do that last jump, but hey, whatever. So now I just have to kill the number of one concerned soldiers indicated in the bottom left corner. So what happened when Mina and Robin reactivated Inti is that they moved the laboratories to a different spot along the ocean floor. And all of the citizens are inside their own rooms, which also double as panic rooms in case of a situation like this. And so the soldiers are just stuck in here with no way out. So once you get rid of them, the scientists will thank you by giving you an upgrade to your wrench. And then all the town people will return. Well, that sucks. I needed to shoot that guy first. There we go. So now I have the electric wrench. Oops, this is important because now when I spin my wrench, I will electrify myself, which is now used to solve all kinds of different puzzles and do different things. So the other tweak I just equipped is called Fleetfoot. All it does is increase my base movement speed. Another cutscene with Mina's mom. Right here we talk to Mina and we choose the negative dialogue option. And throughout the game in each cutscene you're given various dialogue choices, and those choices actually do affect a phase of the final boss. And so if you get a full positive affinity with Mina, she shows up in the final fight, and you have to sit through a cutscene instead of being able to skip it. Oops. So right here I have to... There we go. I had to do a trick called Quantum Leap, where I hold down my gunfire button, and then do a dodge roll jump into the area transition. And what this does is it allows you to skip a single screen transition, in some cases more. Anyway. Well, I could have maintained a lot of speed through here and I forgot. Anyhow, I'm going to go for another quantum leap here in a moment. did not get this one, unfortunately. Luckily, the only one that's really required for the run is the first one, since it saves the key that I have up there next to my health bar. Okay, got that one, which skipped a screen. Saved a few seconds. Anyway, so now Mina's going to show up here. Back to the final boss thing. If you get full positive affinity with Mina, she shows up and wastes her time. So if you skip all the cutscenes, like we do most of them in speedrun, it randomizes all of these choices for you. So that choice with Mina there is the only one we are actually able to do and have any influence over, so just in case the other choices are randomized positively, we always pick the negative choice in that one cutscene. Ouch. Oops. So since I saved that key for that door instead, I got to skip a large section that you normally do in Block Rock, which also skips part of the story arc. And I'm actually supposed to have Elro in my party right now. But I don't, as you can see. That's okay. As far as the game's concerned, that's fine. This room I'm just trying to skip doing puzzles. Here the developer actually removed some of the collision to make this shot easier to make. Not really sure why. Come on, you can make it through there without having to charge again. So dodge roll is going to start being incredibly important, as is obvious for getting past these guys quickly. Ouch. Go. So I had to do all of that just to open the door. This door. Now I need this key. Pretty much all this area comes down to is I do none of the optional things. That's all most of the areas come down to, really, but... Alright, so... Oops, now we get a section where we actually play as solo Mina. And it's faster to slide along the ground with her like this, a la Mega Man 3. And the whole group is going through this area because they're trying to get to the One Concern Tower, which is on the other side of this forest. And they're going there because Mina's friend Samba was kidnapped by Agent Black. Yo, no damage. Hype. Yeah, this game is heavily inspired by Metroid Fusion, Metal Slug, and mainly Monster World 4, if I remember correctly. And so because of the Quantum Leap trick I did earlier, this boss, after this attack, is going to get stuck in the ground. Oops. I always try to skip cutscenes too early. And so earlier in the game, when you were with your brother Elro, you find out that his we find out just now that his wife and daughter were killed, and so you are the only family he has left. Moving right along. You can sometimes get a slope boost through there if you jump in the right spots. Here I'm performing a ladder zip, which is just a dodge roll onto a ladder. If the ladder is connected to a ceiling, you will zip out of bounds. And because of tricks like that, we have this category called No Out of Bounds via Airswim. People also just kind of wanted, at least at first, people wanted a category that was a little bit more akin to a what you see in a full playthrough. For some reason, after wall jumping, the game will not let you fire a charged shot. I really do not understand why. Don't need that. Luckily, my tweaks don't really matter right now. My health does, unfortunately. Now we're gonna fight a giant train. So this boss's attacks are completely random. I never know what it's going to do. Unfortunately, he's giving me all the bad patterns right from the get-go. That was a really fast fight though, because then he gave me like the perfect pattern. So in this phase I just have to dodge damage, stay charged, wait for Elro to jam this thing's blades up, and then I knock it back. Like so. And depending on where you stand, you can actually destroy all of the projectiles this thing creates without taking damage. Sometimes I'm able to get the right spot, other times I'm not. See, now that's not good. I'm just going to try and avoid all the projectiles. Oh god. Only one more phase. And I magically have all my health back. So you found the tower, but it's surrounded by an electric fence. Then Royal shows up and says, hey, I can get you in underground. Come over here. And you come over here, and then you get arrested. But, Robin is able to sneak out, and she goes out, or sets out to rescue her friends. So now the objective is to rescue your friends, pardon me, and then get out of the tower. You want to get to the top of the tower. Nice, by doing that speed boost there, I get to skip doing part of that room. Pick up this box and throw it at this fine gentleman. Luckily that fine gentleman allowed me to throw a box at him. The box is the most powerful attack in the game, just FYI. So right here, because I have dodge jump, by plinking the, which is basically inputting one command then the other, by inputting jump and then dodge roll, I'm able to get through this gap, which normally requires you to have a certain gun to get through much later in the game. You also may have noticed that I had my gun out for a moment there. I actually don't have my gun right now. It was taken from me. This is the part, like in most Metroid games, where they take away your items. So right now I have my wrench again. But not much else. So the tower, story-wise, is where the one concerned indoctrinates the youth into their culture, and they're told that outside this tower, there's a disease in the air, you'll die if you go outside, etc. And they're told nothing but the joys of the one concerned. Up to floor 3. I will never actually do anything on floor 2, aside from the center when I got that first key. Nice bonus content there for you. Skip that whole room. Those blocks have no indication that you can ground pound them. Runner in our community found that by accident one day by ground pounding out of frustration there. Alright, so now I have Mina's seeds back and my gun. And so now story-wise, Robin will have some of Mina's seeds. And you'll give half of the ones in the bag to Mina when you return to her. It's never specified how many seeds are in the bag, by the way. They're just important because now both of those characters will have some for various points in the game. Thank you. So now that I've freed up the elevator on the right side, I can go all the way over here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to the 6th floor, and I'm going to fight a boss. But this is actually the second time you would normally fight this boss. And so by doing the second phase before the first phase, when I return to the room that the first phase is normally in, it will disappear. Normally you have to reflect like 5 of this guy's super difficult attacks, or you can stand on these stairs and bait him into charging you, shoot a bomb on the stairs, and hit him in the back with a bomb 3 times, and that will be the fight. Nice bonk on the head for the end. I want to be next to this box because that's a tower cell key. Now it's all the way back down to the bottom floor to free my friends. And so you notice when I enter the 3rd floor, there'll be a cloud. Poof, that was the boss disappearing. So normally when you enter this room that I'm on, you fight that enemy, the Silver Watchman. So there's one more instance of him later on in the tower, which you can skip with what we believe to be a frame-perfect button press, because it just happens during one part of the elevator just stops. Gotta be careful to wait for that key. Oops. So now I'm going back into the basement because there's a new area I can go to in here. Now that I have a key again. And I get the galvanized wrench, and so what this wrench does is it lets me leave little area of effect attacks with my wrench, and it also gives an electric charge to my bombs and my missiles, so now I have even more ways to solve puzzles and stuff. Still need dodge roll for a bit, so I want to get some XP. Now back up to floor 3 to go over to the right side of the tower again. For the cleanup, I need 3 keys to leave the tower out the top. First is down to floor 1. There we go. Next it's up to floor 5. So that opens that, which I'll come back for in a moment. But since I still have that charge, I wanted to do this puzzle first. Back up the ladder. Oops. Now I have my 3 keys, I can leave. So now I just have to hope that I get the boss skip. Did not get it, so I'm gonna fight this boss. So in the cutscene I just skipped, Elro actually has his whole arm ripped off. But you all escape the tower except Elro. So Elro is taken captive by the one concerned. Robin is thrown off the tower and left for dead. Mina and Samba escape. And now you will play as solo Robin for a bit. Now I'm going to set up for a trick called Dark Cave Jump. Alright, by kill jumping that enemy and then performing gun boost, I skip having to do most of Dark Cave, and go straight to the boss. And that trick is really hard to do because the same inputs you do to do the jump for the kill jump are also what you do to ground pound. Bad luck. This is the worst pattern I could have gotten, but oh well. This boss is pretty straightforward. Just kill the Silver Watchman when he's possessed, and then kill the part possessing the Watchman, and then kill the core. So this is actually the first main boss that I skipped earlier with that cutscene trick, but he's been possessed by the blue corruption. He's going to go off the screen to the left. And I kill him with one missile. So their Royal shows up and actually drowns the Silver Watchman, whom it seems like was coming to thank you, but anyway. Now I need to climb this mountain. This is known as the Darland Ascent. And so I'm trying to find a way into the One Concern West, which Royal tells me is at the top of this mountain. And I want to go in there because I think Elro's in there. Ouch. Is there a lot of backtracking during casual play? Not really, honestly. A lot of the areas, like the only reason you revisit an area is to get any stuff that you can't get the first time. There's never really a story reason to go back to most areas, at least for very long. And there's not as much backtracking in this as there is in your typical Metroid game. This game is much more linear. It feels like Metroid, but it's not really Metroid. It's the best way I can put it. But that's not a bad thing. There is still plenty to explore and unlock. There's lots of chests to open so you can craft all your various tweaks. There's lots of cool power-ups you can get. There's actually some secret bosses that I've actually not fought one of them, so there's still stuff to discover. And I've tried to not look up spoilers for it. So in the cutscene I just skipped, Royal tells you about what this machine does. This is the machine that turns people into the agents of the One Concern. And so what the machine actually does is, like I said, it bathes people in ivory. And any part of them, so the machine can actually kill people. And so like General Chrome underwent all this, and he lost his legs as a result of the ivory bath. Royal underwent the ivory bath but didn't lose any part of his body, and as a result he gained miraculous power from it, as opposed to just like regular superpowers. The agents all have regular superpowers because they all lost some part of their original body as a result of the ivory bath. Anyway. So now we have a very long, like 4-minute auto-scroller boss. And the pixel art's pretty, but bitrate might suffer a bit. So I'm just gonna stand over here and dance. So in this room, you have to wait for the ledges to be a certain amount on screen before you can actually ledge grab them. It's very misleading. I guess I'll mention this enemy is known as the Omega controller. And it has the actual power to rearrange the continents on this planet themselves. Alright, one more hallway. Then I actually get to fight this enemy. Do you get any iframes in this game? Only from the dodge roll jump. And of course when you take damage. So now we've made it to the one concerned west, and Royal says, yeah, I can get you in, no problem. But then you wait forever, and Royal never shows, so you decide to leave, and find a different way in. And a different way off of this mountain. And that was actually just Mina in a big winter coat. So at this point in the game, you're supposed to find somebody who might know something about getting into the one concern. And Mina suggests the doctor character from her hometown. And so you set out to find him, and it turns out he's here in the tower. And so the game doesn't expect you to have access to the tower teleporter that early. Since I enter that room from actually the room below, in some ways, the game just zips me up to where that cutscene takes place, and I'm out here at the entrance to the tower. Oops. The room is very annoying. Here we get another boss with the tag mechanic, and this boss is interesting because it employs a bit of a stealth mechanic, where the boss can block most of my attacks, but I can then change characters to like attack him from the other angle. Or I can just wait here and try and hit him with missiles. Hit him once, he'll probably appear up on the same platform I'm on now. Okay, he was right there, but then he shielded and ran away. Fight over. Normally that fight takes a bit longer. Anyway. Now it's back to the Darlin Descent. Alright, if you do stuff properly there, you can actually maintain the speed throughout that section. Now I need these guys to move. Need dodge roll. There we go. Okay. So the way you have to get into the one concern is actually that the camera outside the one concern like malfunctions, and if it doesn't detect what it thinks is a person, the door will open. And so what happens is that Mina just walks in her winter coat, and Robin crawls along behind her. The door opens for them, and they sneak in. Flawless. So my objective here is to go around and hopefully find Elro. Here I'm actually going the shorter way. The game doesn't normally expect you to go this way quite this early, I don't think. Alright, this puzzle is notoriously difficult for me personally. Dang it, now I have to reset this room. So here I have to dangle from these chains and then wrench over to the next chain with good timing so that I can beat the laser cycles. The third laser in particular is the most difficult. Alright, now I get the Usurper Gun, which is kind of like the Wave Beam. Looks a little bit like it, I guess. But this gun, when charged up, lets you swap places with enemies or certain objects. And this gun actually has the lowest cooldown of any charged shot, and it also does a ton of damage. Very cool weapon. And there is a secret power-up that turns it into the Wave Beam, essentially. But I never get that in the speedrun. I don't even know where you get it in the game. That was weird. Oops, a moment too soon. That's one of Mina's ancestral vessels in the possession of the One Concerned. They've stripped it of everything and, use it for their own nefarious deeds. Come on. Alright, by ground pounding on that box, I actually zip up into this room. Unfortunately, I didn't zip at quite the proper angle, so I didn't go up far enough. So it's actually ended up being slower. Ideally, I would have ended up back in this room. Anyway. Oh, how I wish I could make that. Ow. I have to be careful. No health. Okay. Normally you use the Surfer gun to swap places with this boss. But instead you just roll over to him and then wedge yourself in the right spot, and you can kind of glitch him out and kill him early. So this room is all the ground up people from the Transcenders that turn people into agents. The One Concern has not produced an agent in many years, and so this is all the results of their attempts at creating superhumans, essentially. Now we see Royal trapped in a room with pink sand. Pink sand prevents him and other people with ivory powers from using their powers. But we go through the entirety of One Concern to find that Elro is not here, but we did find Royal. Royal suggests we try One Concern East, which is on the other side of One Concern West. There we see a cutscene in which General Chrome tries to convince everybody that he is the true leader of the One Concern, based on the failures of Royal and Mother and the rest of the One Concern. And yeah. We move right along. Oops. So now we're actually going to fight Agent Black. And right from the get-go, she's going to set our HP to like 1. This is a scripted attack that happens several times, and you cannot dodge it. So Agent Black is not dead, she was just unconscious. She couldn't use her healing powers because of being inside that room with all the pink sand. Now we're at One Concern East. We're gonna go find Elro. Excellent, perfect behavior from the soldiers. Oops, that's not good. Okay, we're fine. I will be coming back to this area later, but for now this area is not very important. And now we go to the holy city called City 1. We switch places with Pete, the guard. And we infiltrate the holy city. Anyway, we come to this place because Royal wants to talk to Mother, the leader of the One Concern. One, because she thinks, or Royal thinks that he can pardon, or get Mother to pardon Robin and Elro, maybe even repair Elro's arm. And supposedly Royal has been excommunicated at this point by the One Concern, and so Royal is also seeking answers to his own personal questions. Because Royal has been raised thinking that he's going to one day be the ruler, and that he's, you know, someone really special. Swap places just to get that guy out of my way. And now we're going to fight Mother, and she's going to create a giant kitty cat out of rocks and stuff. So the attacks the cat will use are random, at least a random order. I don't really see any set pattern. I only care about one attack where the cat actually lets me damage it, which then lets me swap places with Mother. So I'm just going to walk around until I see that one. It's this attack. And this is the only way you can damage Mother permanently, because she has power over the entire planet, like all the objects and the stuff that actually makes up the planet. And she has an intense healing factor. And so what you're trying to do is get her down on the ground so then Mina can punch a seed into Mother's face. And then Mother will turn into a tree. And so essentially you are killing what equates to a god in this world. You have to do this 4 times, but like there's no rhyme or reason to any of these attacks, and I don't know of any real way to manipulate this boss or speed it up. Like this tail slam attack is completely optional, but I don't know what triggers it, because I've been across the entire screen and it still happened to me, so yeah. It's faster to just let this attack hit you. Otherwise you have to push it to the other end of the screen. Sorry about the frame drops, I'm not really sure why that happened. Happened as soon as my landlord turned on the shower. As for my tweaks and my health, I'm going to get all of them back after this fight, so it's not a big deal. And fight's over. And so, with you killing Mother, that actually incites a civil war inside City 1 and everywhere that the One Concern lives. So now it's going to be the regular soldiers that follow General Chrome versus the Bastion Defense Force, which is all these enemies inside here. And those are the two warring factions. So later on in the game you'll see places where these enemies will be lying around or fighting each other. I need to swap places with the spaceman who's chucking grenades at me because he's kind of a dick. So in this next cutscene, General Chrome also kills Father, the ruler of the one concerned before Mother. And then General Chrome is killed by Elro. Elro was once a chemist. There's the tree that Mother turned into, real quick. Anyway, Elro was once a chemist for the one concerned. And he created a binary solution that when both parts are injected into an agent, the agent will explode. An agent being someone with ivory blood, in this case. So what happens is, at some point earlier on in one of the cutscenes, one of those chemicals is injected into General Chrome by a mysterious figure. And then later on in that cutscene, Elro injects the other part of the binary solution into General Chrome, thus killing him. Dodge roll is normally very important here. But I made a mess of trying to keep it on me, so I just have to keep going through this area. Sometimes pushing crouch or down doesn't actually let you enter or interact with things. It's weird. And so now what everybody decides to do is that we're going to get inside a rocket ship. And we're going to send Robin and Royal to the moon. And Mina and Elro, I went up too many floors. Mina and Elro are going to stay back to push two buttons at the same time on different sides of the same room in order to launch the rocket. And so now I have to get everybody into their proper positions. And it will start with Mina. So this is a pretty long auto-scroller, a couple minutes long. Unfortunately, I can't like damage boost to skip to the end of this auto-scroller. Oh goodness, please let me live. Ah. Now I fight Mendelave. Luckily I get all my health back. Cool, getting pretty good pattern here. She doesn't take much damage from regular shotgun shots when her aura is up, and I'm supposed to wait till her aura is down and then knock her into the lightning. That can be kind of tricky. Because sometimes you knock her off, and then the lightning is gone, like just now. Like, I didn't even know I was gonna be able to do damage to her in that way. There we go. Not a bad fight, actually. Okay, here I'm going to skip doing all of this puzzle by throwing this box up into this crawl space, and then swapping with the Usurper Gun, which puts Robin into a crawling space or state immediately. Then get XP from those to dodge roll through this, skipping to backtrack a bit. I gotta do this really long room and puzzle. Alright. Now this next boss can turn invisible, and is quite problematic as its pattern is random. Oh no. It shocked me, which paralyzes you. I'm actually getting a pretty good pattern, all things considered. Not a bad fight, actually. Alright, now I actually get to play as Elro. He can walk incredibly slowly, as you can see. He only has one arm, one eye, and a broken sword. He's lost everything. Nuts. Alright, one more room to go through, but the next room I can damage boost through part of. So that'll make it a little bit quicker. And then a boss fight. The boss I'm going to fight takes 12 hits to kill. And I try to damage boost through certain portions of the fight in order to speed it up. Okay, no more gunfire. More gunfire. There we go. So I'm gonna block about 5 or 6 attacks before I start damage boosting, just so I can make sure that I have a safe amount of health for later on. So which attack he gives you is up to him. He can either throw a knife in one of 3 ways, or he'll fire his minigun or his machine gun like this, and then he'll do another attack as you get closer to him. And the time in between attacks gets shorter with each iteration. And so I try to block or dodge the first few attacks, but that machine gun attack I will generally damage boost at some point. And I just look for a certain spot on the floor before I attack, just so I make sure I can actually hit him. I'm gonna dodge this one, and then I'll start damage boosting all of his attacks. Now I should be clear to do that. Actually, gonna block one more. One more, actually, just cuz. Okay, that would have been fine. But during the last phase, the wind blows against you, so that can allow him to hit you twice. Okay, good. So now Robin and Elro have to, or Robin and Royal rather, have to get to the rocket. But you're stopped on the way by Agent Black. So now we're going to say goodbye to Agent Black. Again, the story for this is very personal, actually, between Agent Black and Robin, so if you're interested in it, I suggest playing through the full game. Alright, now we fight her mutated form. And this one also attacks randomly. Has 3 weak points I need to hit before proceeding to the next phase. Alright, cool. One more weak point to kill. Excellent, final phase. Alright, Robin and Royal make it to the rocket. Mina and Elro push the buttons after some bickering, and you make it to the moon. So on the moon, Royal tries to communicate with the Star Worm, the god of the one concern, but Royal is a bit immature, and the worm, he thinks, doesn't accept him, so Royal fights back against the worm in this cutscene, actually creating a weak point which allows you to defeat the Star Worm. And then, unfortunately, these doors that I'm approaching will only open if a member of the one concern is nearby. Hence, you can tell that by the arrows. They'll turn green. And unfortunately, I'm going to leave Royal on the moon at one point, and he will explode. Alright, now all that's left to do is go finish the game. So the Star Worm has come to this planet, and you set out to get rid of him. Alright, so enemies will spawn. I have to use the charge shot to remove the corruption from them and then kill those enemies normally. Yeah! By dodge rolling, or dodge roll jumping there at a certain time, when the cutscene starts it puts you in a standing state, which then zips you up through the screen. Alright, then you enter the Starworm's lair, he hits you with the laser beam, and you have a shroom trip. And so these bosses each represent either Elro, Mina, or Royal, and if they have sunflowers on them, which this one will not, they'll be passive and won't use some of their attacks, like Jumping Sword Strike. Perfect. Alright, Infinite Wrench Swing. So by using Wrench Swing at a certain time in between these phases, you can trigger this bug where you're spinning your wrench infinitely, which is of course very helpful for this boss, or this section, because now I'm electrified permanently. Now I have to trigger it again for the next boss. I also have to hopefully not get hit. Super fast. Sorry about the frame drops again. No idea when that happened. Alright, now one last cutscene with your dad. Here you're given a choice to hug your dad or not. You choose not to hug your dad, which actually changes one of the phases of the last boss. Goodness, I've never seen him give me that attack so many times in a row. Oh my goodness. Anyway, one last boss. Time is not on final hit of the last boss. There's a short cutscene afterward and one more input. And so it turns out the Starworm is actually just a spaceship piloted by this fellow. No. All right. Time will be coming up in about 30 seconds or so. It'll be when I punch the worm. I put the remainder of the seeds I got from Nina inside the star worm, and the star worm explodes. And time. So the star worm explodes, and its body exploding unleashes this special liquid which creates actual trees. All the other plants on the planet were fake and fabricated. And so the planet will regenerate itself, essentially. Dear Force! But yeah, that's it for me. Thank you for having me, everybody. I don't know what we have next, but I'm sure it's amazing. So until next time, bye-bye!
Alright. Thank you so much for that Iconoclast run, Muncha. We're on to our final run of the marathon. Hope you're ready for some nice, comfy Sonic Heroes. Team Sonic run by Allegro SRC. I'm going to go ahead and play some music while we get that set up, but stay tuned for the last run here, and we'll be right back.